Pick up whenever you call. In the parking lot Tucson. Are you with me? We're feeling with the roof gone. I pull up like Jimmy Neutron. Looking if you get a move on. Like you hard and I know. We need to go slow, but we could go faster. Maybe the best.
Hey, sorry I'm late. Okay, so we're gonna talk about Jinger interview. And we've been down the Duggar rabbit hole a little bit. And we're gonna go when she went on the Unplanned podcast about how she left everything she ever known. And we're gonna watch this together because I'm very interested in this. Hold on. Let me put this over here. And I want to know because I've been going down the rabbit hole with you guys, and I kind of want to get with everybody, that was in that household and what they experienced for a reason. So I will be playing that interview. We're going to do a reaction to it. And then I need to fix my thing. I should have put reaction, but I'll fix it after this. We're going to do a reaction to it, and we're going to talk about it because she got emotional, y'all. So let's watch it together. So this is Jinger Duggar, okay?
That you've known and you sacrifice relationships over it, it's hard.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
We got back from the honeymoon and they were like, "Are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? Are you pregnant?" I was looking at her like, "Is this normal?" And she's like,
Yeah.
"Yes." In our setting, it is.
This is what's expected of you. I will look back at my childhood and say there were things that I definitely would have changed. The imbalances of kids raising kids is unhealthy. Kids can help out and learn responsibility in other ways.
With Jim Bob, did he ask you questions about have you dated somebody before?
Wait, I forgot to show y'all something. Hold on. So the mother, I wanted to share this with y'all before we start this interview. I'm so sorry, y'all. I know we're in the middle of the interview, but I wanted to share this. Let me share this with you. So y'all know they did a rundown on the mama, right? The mama. And I want y'all to see it before we get into this interview.
You're making money doing right now.
No, I'm not.
I am protecting children. What are you doing?
What were they doing in the
That is
interview?
your
What was
business.
your what was your
said
son-in-law
I don't
doing?
care.
Your son-in-law was doing something way worse. Your son-in-law was doing
So,
something
right now,
definitely
you have
worse.
the right to be here.
I ain't never seen her so angry, y'all. Do she have one? Wait, go.
Can you do an interview?
What?
Can you do?
She got on pants too? So did they all leave the cult situation? This is crazy. Good afternoon.
Can you do an interview?
What?
Can you do an interview?
You cannot be here.
Is this private property on the
Yes,
road?
it is.
Okay, the road is private property?
You have no business being here.
Okay.
You are interfering with children.
No, I'm not messing with the children.
Yes,
This has
you
nothing.
are.
This has nothing
Yes,
to do.
you are. They were
This has-
children.
This has
Shame
nothing.
on you.
This has nothing to do with the
Shame on
children.
you.
This is you guys are being investigated for the children. I'm here for
Shame
press.
on you.
I'm here for press, Mom.
Okay, you go.
Mom, I'm here for press.
You may go.
Can I ask you some questions?
You will not ask me anything. You will have to talk to someone else.
Can I ask you any questions,
No,
Mom?
Shame on you.
Any questions? Can we talk to your daughter?
Leave.
Can we talk to your daughter?
Leave right now.
Please don't stand back there. I don't want to reverse and hit you.
Come here.
Miss, we literally are just doing.
Interfering with children. And
I'm
you
not
need to
interfering
leave.
with any
There are
children.
children out there. Shame on
We
you.
came to just interview your daughter
You
who
are
was just
not.
recently arrested.
You are not.
We just came to interview your
You
daughter
are
who was
not.
recently
You are
arrested.
not.
I don't know who this is, but he need to get his facts straight. That is her daughter-in-law, not her daughter.
Yes, we did.
Okay, leave right now, please.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll leave. I just wanted you to.
Like, I don't know who that is, but his information is not accurate. But what I can tell you, she has changed, and we're gonna get into the mom this weekend because there's some stuff about the mom too. The mom is dressing up in pants. We're gonna talk about Jill. Well, that's Jill and Dare. Oh, their family has been through a lot, but it's something else that I want to discuss. Let me go to my other channel. And we were talking about the baby part before we get into anything else. So y'all remember when we were live about them, they were saying how they pop babies at 6 months, right? To keep them from touching anything. Let me see if we got it. It's called blanket training. So let me play that and then we're going to get into this interview because I think she talks about that as well.
You put the kid on a blanket, probably 6-month-old, and you put something they want just outside of reach off the blanket. And when they go to reach for it, you hit them. And if they continue to reach for it, you hit them again. The idea is you're breaking the rebellious spirit they are born with. So blanket training was also covered in Michelle Duggar's book.
I would focus on blanket training, calling out, okay, boys, it's blanket time. Oh, isn't this fun? Come pick a toy so we can have blanket time. We're going to practice obey mama. Sit really still. Look at me with big old smile. I want to see that smile now. No wiggles. Be still.
6 months old. 6.
At 6 months, a child is known to touch things to see their grasp. The reason why 6 months, they show activity, right? They're starting to crawl and pick up things. They show that they're advancing. Why would you stop them from advancing? That's advancement in a child.
Blanket training.
All right, you guys, let's get to this interview. And we're gonna go from there. We're gonna watch Jill as well, and then we're gonna talk about the mom Wednesday. And I think we're gonna try to go. I'm not gonna try to get everybody. It's hard to because it's not much on it, but we will go to Ginger's podcast as well because she talked about some things in her podcast.
Have you kissed
Oh
them
my
before?
goodness! I had a 50-page questionnaire I filled out.
Wait, you're kidding. It was
Yeah,
absolutely
that's
great.
true.
We sat down with Jinger, Duggar, Volo, and Jeremy Volo from the hit TV show 19 Kids and Counting. As a Duggar, Jinger grew up following the cult-like teachings of the IBLP. Jinger unpacked her childhood in her new book, Becoming Free Indeed, which she said was one of the hardest things she has ever done. We talk about courting, wearing pants for the first time, to the time Jinger found her stolen diary on eBay for $100,000, all in today's episode.
This episode of Unplanned Podcast is brought to you by Huggies Skin Essentials. Baby butts rejoice. Huggies.
You guys, I will be fast forwarding some of this stuff because I know they have paid promotions. And shout out to I think it's Unplanned. Hold on, let me get their name right. It's in here. Shout out. We got to get there. We watching them. The Unplanned Podcast. I think they interviewed Ginger, Amy, and Jill. I'm not sure if they interviewed the other ones, but I can see if I can find them and we can do a recap on them. And to let you guys know, I will be pausing a lot, okay? So I'm going to stop and talk because of YouTube guidelines, but let's continue.
Was so crazy how I think there are different dynamics to that movie that were not so closely aligned with my life, but so many things I could relate to, just like people looking into your life like you're in a glass bowl and they're just seeing like everything that you're doing. It was just wild. Like I just could not believe how similar that was to what my experience growing up.
And Jeremy, when you first met Ginger, is that how you kind of perceived her life? You're like, she is living in the Truman Show.
I mean, as I got to know her and like stepped into her situation and her world, that definitely came to mind, because at first I didn't know much about her life and that experience. And so I meet her family, and then I kind of see their experience with the TV show and how it is like a glass bowl, like it's like a fishbowl. So yeah, I mean, I just remember thinking like the Truman Show is obviously reflective of like the rise of reality TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so her family being such a big presence in reality TV, you've got cameras in your face constantly.
Yeah,
and
you
I
wake
think
up, you're brushing your teeth,
Yeah.
you're going to the store.
and
you're
early on in like
doing all
the
normal
early
stuff.
years, it was more, right? It was like
I mean,
less
it was
produced.
legit reality.
Yeah.
As you go on, like things start to be like, okay, they'll suggest stuff like, okay, maybe we can go on a date. Like you guys go on a date today. You know, once we were married, they were like,
Yeah.
how about you guys go out and play tennis today? And so we said, that sounds fun. Let's do it.
But after like 15 years
Yeah,
of filming
but that
them, they
was,
needed
like,
more ideas of what to do.
Whenever they had run
Yeah.
out of normal life stuff to do.
And when you were courting, did they allow you, like, could the camera guy be the quote unquote chaperone, or did you still need a sister or brother
Well,
to be with you?
Cameras weren't enough.
Cameras weren't enough.
Yeah, right.
Even
Wow.
though you got the hard
I
out.
remember, hey, Mysterious Eyes, I remember camera, when I forgot which one was dating. And one of the cameramen was like, yeah, we had to be a chaperone as well. Like, if they could and we could. And they had to know how to chaperone them. And what was the rules to chaperone? Like, one of the cameramen said that they were chaperones. So she's telling the truth that they did chaperone.
And it's,
Yeah. it's wild.
Yeah. We always had to have a chaperone there with us.
Yeah. And that was an interesting thing about even like that purity culture was, it was, I think it played the rules, not the game, if you know what I mean. Like it was so focused on like the formal rules of, okay, this is how you must have a relationship or conduct yourself, that at times it missed the whole point of what building a relationship is, you know? So that was a wild ride with the chaperones and all that. But yeah, I'll tell you this, like with the cameras, she's so comfortable with cameras. Like I think sometimes Ginger's more comfortable behind a camera than she might be in normal life at times, just because it was like, you know, obviously that's an overstatement, but like she grew up with it. Whereas I never got that comfortable where they would be like, we're on a date and you've got like 3 cameramen around you with a mic boom and a producer, and they're saying cut, and there's extras in the restaurant, you know, having a free meal.
No.
And then it's like, all right, have a meal. Talk about
you know, your first kiss. Talk about whatever, you know. And they would give us like talking points, and so then you just walk through it. And it wasn't staged, but it was like prompts. So if we weren't giving them enough, we need a little prompt.
Who were these extras that just happened to, you know, be
they would use them all the time, just like if it was like a set dinner, then sometimes they would do that, or put like a couple friends who would just come sit in the background at a couple tables.
So we had our favorite restaurant in Laredo, which is where when we got married, we were living in Laredo, Texas. And it's called the Border Foundry. And to this day, we have not found a restaurant in LA that's as good as Border Foundry. So it was just this incredible steakhouse on the border of Mexico. And so we'd go there all the time. But when we would film there, the restaurant owner would just have his friends come for a free meal. And so like they were stoked for that.
That's probably such a fun party thing for those people to bring up. They're like, by the way, I was an extra
on episode 5 of season 10.
Funny. I have so many questions for you. So like, did you intend, I guess like when you were growing up and starting to think about like getting married, did you like know you were going to pursue like a courtship type of relationship, or was that something that, and how did you meet a Duggar daughter? Like how did that whole process come to be?
Yeah. So no, I mean, I didn't grow up in the same setting as her. So I didn't even really understand I mean, I had heard.
He grew up on Christian faith, but he did not have it as strict as she did. So his was totally different. He knew that, you know, certain datings and certain rules, he heard about it, but he never dated like she was told to date. You know what I'm saying? So it was different for him. Like his wasn't a cult mindset like it was for her.
The term courtship, because years earlier, there was like
Josh Harris.
Had a book, I Kissed Dating Goodbye, that was like real popular amongst certain, Christians. And so I'd heard of it, but we never had bought into that. So I really didn't understand the dynamics of what courtship was. And I definitely didn't think I would, be dating and then marry a girl who's on TV or anything like that. So it was just pure providence of how I met her. And so, yeah, I didn't really have a conception of it. And here's the interesting thing too, is like, I had no idea who Bill Gothard was. I had no idea even the religious setting that she was in. So I just showed up because my buddy Ben Seawald, who married Jessa, is like, hey, come on out. I'm with the Duggars at this conference in Texas.
His friend. Yeah, I wonder if they still friends. Because Ben Seawald is his friend. I remember that. And he married Jessa. I remember that. Because I remember he was like, well, I do have a friend. Her and Jessa used to be close. I wonder if they still close. I really do.
So I'm like, cool. And I'd been to conferences before. And so I stepped into that world. And it was kind of like shocking, but initially just in kind of a pleasant way. I was just like, wow, look, everybody's super happy. And everybody dresses the same, which, I immediately noticed, like, it was kind of like cookie cutter, but it was a really pleasant experience at first. I was just like, wow, everybody has a ton of kids. And I had no idea, like, the theological foundations for that.
Behind it. Was it an IBLP conference?
It was an IBLP conference, yeah.
Wow.
Can you kind of describe for those people that don't know what IBLP is, like, just like a nutshell, what it is?
For sure.
So IBLP, it was basically that was like the program that Bill Gothard started. And so Bill Gothard was this guy who came on the scene in the 60s and 70s. He was promising parents like a guarantee for success for their families. If you follow my teachings, my principles, then your life will be a success. Your kids will be a light to the nations. They will help people around them. They will turn out really well. And so with the sexual revolution happening at that time, there was a lot of people like concerned for their kids. They're going to get, mixed up in bad stuff and drugs and all of that stuff. So they were like really concerned for their kids. And he said, I have the key. I have all the answers to life's problems. Yeah. So just come follow my teachings. So it started out where he had some good things to say generally. He would like say, okay, if you follow these principles of authority, submitting to the government, your parents, whatever, then your life will be a success. And so parents were like, this is great. Let's go. And so they would send busloads of people there. He filled up massive stadiums full of people, and it was a big deal. And so a lot of parents were so well-meaning and got mixed up in this. And the IBLP stands for Institute in Basic Life Principles. And he would fill up these seminars, and then they would take it back to their churches and start teaching, or their communities, and start teaching these principles. And then he would have like seminars that they could host in your area. And so that's kind of how it spread. And his teachings went to like even other countries. And Bill Gothard he had like a headquarters where he would train students. A lot of underage people went there as well, which caused problems.
It's a whole other story.
It's a whole nother story. So basically the whole thing was built upon one man and his teachings that were the answer to all of life's problems for you.
And do you think your parents had these fears of, oh my gosh, what if my kids take part in the sexual revolution and they, start doing drugs? Like, do you think that fear that your parents had led them to fully, follow everything this man said?
Yeah, I can't speak for them and what they were thinking at that time, but I definitely will say a ton of parents were in that place. I think so many of them were really afraid because times were changing. It all seemed so new that there was so much like rebellion around in their kids.
His stuff was very, very weird. I feel like, I understand what she's saying, and this is just my opinion, but I feel like her parents tried to be like, oh, we don't want them in this because there was so much going on. But at the same time, it's weird to say that when now both of your kids are in jail. One may be going to prison, just like his brother. And they got into, you were keeping things away from them, sheltered them so much by this, Now look at what they have going on. You see what I'm saying? So it's very, very weird to me. Good afternoon is crazy because it's like one thing you can say to your kids, okay, don't do this and do that and let them know. But it's another when you take away phones, you can't wear pants, you can't do this. So now it's starting to sound to me that the mother has left that religion, but she's still married, and I think the father has too, and he just not out no more. And so they have a lot of unlearning to do as a family. They have a lot going on.
Kids, and they were terrified. And so I think that definitely drove a ton of families into these teachings, and they were well-meaning, I think, to start out. And some families would step in for a little bit and see, oh, this is really bad, and they would leave. And other families, the fear drove them to keep going.
Yeah. And some of the rules with IBLP, it was like you couldn't listen to rock music, right? No, women couldn't wear pants. I noticed you're not wearing like a skirt today. Like, was that, changing from the way you were brought up and changing from the way that you knew the world as a kid? Was that scary the first time you put on a pair of pants or chose, I guess, to wear makeup? I don't know. Was that a rule
Makeup
too?
was fine in our house. That was something that was never like an issue, but definitely like a lot of those outward standards that were taught to us. It is modesty, being that you need to wear skirts that fall below the knee. You can't wear sleeveless shirts. You can like if you have like a normal t-shirt, you're allowed to roll up your sleeves, but you can't buy a shirt that has the sleeves already off. It's kind of interesting. So it's like all these rules that don't make sense. Like the rock music is because you're going to call the demons into your life if you listen to it. So there was a lot of superstition in those teachings, and it was really fear-based and man-made rules. And so whenever I realized, okay, I was going to the Word of God, Jeremy really helped me a lot too, to like, he wasn't trying to change me for who I was even, but I think once he realized like, okay, this man is saying things that are not even in the Bible, like, let's talk about it. Why do you believe this? And then it was very quickly like those things kind of like fell off once I realized, oh, this is not in the Bible. Jeremy had to go through the teachings. Like he had to go through 60 plus hours of Bill Gothard's teaching before we could get engaged. And so he was listening through that, which was actually super helpful because then it helped him to realize, oh, this is why you believe this, is because he said this. And so Bill Gothard would take like a verse of the Bible and then he would twist it and make it say whatever he wanted it to say, and then make you make a vow to like commit to do that. So it was very like deceptive in the way that he taught. And so Jeremy kind of just like walking through those different teachings, we would pause the video and say, oh my, like, let's go back to that, because that is not what the Bible actually says. It's totally silent on that subject. And Bill Gothard's making up a case for something that he wants you to do. And so all of those things, I think the fear that gripped me for so long fell off whenever I realized this man is not telling me the truth. And so I wanted to have the authority be the Word of God, not just another man's words that he's just saying.
Yeah, it really helped me understand her, because I stepped into that setting with her family, and I think like most people, you just go, oh wow, they have a ton of kids and they do life this way. And when I started getting into the teachings, I started realizing like, oh, there's an underlying like belief system that's driving this behavior. And ultimately it was fear-based. It was this terror actually of God, which isn't like a righteous fear of God, which is like this all-filled reverential fear of God because he's God, which drives you to him. You know, the fear of God should draw us to love him and draw near to him. It was a fear of like, oh, if I screw up, I'm in trouble. So I have to have life sorted out perfectly, from what I eat to what I wear to what I say to what I don't look at, which is why they were terrified of outside influences. It was like, if I hear these noises, I'm going to be infected. So it's like music out. If I watch these images, then I'm going to be infected. So
if I
no
have
movies.
like a Cabbage Patch doll in my house, then it could bring harm upon me. Very superstitious.
So it was superstitious fear. And that, I mean, you know, from a biblical perspective, that's just like radically unbiblical. But it helped me understand, like,
are you telling me they told them kids that if they had a Cabbage Patch doll? First of all, I say this a lot. I had this conversation when the when the Netflix Tyler Perry movie came out, The House, I think it was. And I heard people say, I'm not going to watch that. Oh, no, that's the devil. I don't trust that. I say, baby, honey, I say you can go outside and anything could happen. You don't know what's out there. I say y'all so consumed with God, and it's just God and nothing exists, to where half of the stuff that y'all have done is of sin. And think about it. There are things out here that are not resting. God, and you know what? I'm glad he said that, because so many Christians believe, oh, if you do this, is you just don't. He's like, no, like it talks about how, you know, there are things out there, and a lot of Christians miss, you know what I'm saying, certain parts. They take what they want. But for him to say that, I understand, because there are a lot of Christians be like, oh no, don't say that. And my sister is like that. Sometimes I tell her, listen, girl, it's stuff out here, baby. And you can, and I've said this before, you cannot defend something like that being scared. It feeds off fear. I always reference to Angel Michael all the time. He was never scared, honey. Please.
Oh, that's where Ginger's coming from. And so as I'm falling in love with this girl, and then like understanding her mindset more and more, we were able to connect on those things. And I did just start to see, like, she was a woman who was committed to the Bible, like genuinely loved Jesus. So when we were able to like realize and discover who Jesus is.
I can't believe they say that about a Cabbage Patch doll. Cabbage Patch dolls, why would he tell his kids that? Do you know how much money them kids could have from a Cabbage Patch doll, child? Coinage. Now, if you still got a Cabbage Patch doll, y'all know them Cabbage Patch dolls are forever. You know you can make money off them Cabbage Patch. And the Barbies. When you got a Barbie collection, some of them people that keep them Barbies, I be like, why they keep them Barbies? Some of them Barbies are worth $1,000.
The fear-based super.
Introducing virtual
I tell you. Why would he tell that? I know they
Your
bald-headed chunky like a baby.
Children full of potential and promise. Each life is a journey of ups and some.
I can't
just kind of felt.
He didn't want them to play with Cabbage Patch dolls. So what they had to play with. So they let me know that they getting them kitchen stuff to learn how to be. Really? A Cabbage Patch doll? Tripping.
Off.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, what were some of those like specific beliefs that come to mind that, or like teachings that Bill Gothard had that you guys were like, wait, let's talk about this, and then you're like, we're not aligned with what he has to say?
Because you literally spent 60 hours like learning about all this. So what? Yeah, I'm so super curious too.
So okay, so one of them would be how Bill Gothard would use the Bible. He would use it like a buffet line.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was like one verse, and actually a lot of people do this, he sees one verse and he goes, oh, I'll use that. And then he'll just build a whole system around it. So for instance, he would go to the Old Covenant blood laws. And Israel had all of these blood laws that he gave to the people. And he had reasons for them. He had reasons for people treating animals humanely. And he also had a theological underlying reason for the reason blood is such a theme in the Bible is because it's where life is. It's called the lifeblood. And so he was showing just how sinful their sin was. And ultimately, all those blood laws in Leviticus are pointing to Jesus, who spills his blood to pay for us. It's like the beautiful, sacrificial, most basic element of the gospel. And so there's like a theological profundity to it. Well, Gothard would go to the blood laws and start telling people like what they could and couldn't do, like a husband and wife, or
wild. Like, oh yeah, you need to abstain from being together over these times. And like, he was a guy who.
Another thing, I told you I'm gonna keep pausing and stuff, but I feel like I'm glad she married him. I want to say that because if she didn't, she would probably still be dealing with that cult mindset. And he really did help her. He did. Like, and regardless of what anybody say, like that's truly who she's supposed to be with. To me. Because she would have never known what she was really had going on in her life. She would have never known.
was never married, never had kids of his own, and here he was as the expert on what you are to be doing as a couple. And it was like wild.
Like in reference to menstruation.
Yeah.
Oh, so like a woman's on their period and it's
totally.
like,
You're
oh,
on
you
your
can't
period,
be
need to be away. Yeah.
So he literally taught no sleeping together.
But I mean, not in separate rooms. But
he got
like,
into
you
the specifics of like how many days you had to wait and when you could, when you couldn't.
It was wild. And after you have a kid, you need to wait this long.
I remember hearing
that like in his seminars.
Wait, wasn't it different if it was like you had a boy or a girl?
A boy versus a girl. Yeah.
So I remember hearing that and going, I wouldn't, you know, that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's like, you know, you see that? Like, I remember, whoa, wait, what, that. So I paused it and I went, wait.
Thank you to Liquid IV for sponsoring this portion of today's episode. Summer is literally here. It's June now, which is crazy. It's blowing my mind.
So hot in Arizona right now. It makes
I know it is.
I was like, he's missed the entire point of why God was doing this. Like, he's missed the story of the Bible. He's looking at these leaves, reading them out of context, and he's just making up all these rules. He's missed the point of what God is doing with his people. Mm-hmm. So then we would go to like a book of like the book of Galatians or the book of Hebrews, and we would sit there and we would talk about it. And she would literally be like, oh, like, whoa, I've never seen this before.
Another thing too was like adoption. Like,
oh man,
it was so sad to see because he had such a warped view of like almost, I mean, there were some families within the system who had adopted, but he was so afraid of you being able to bring other kids into your home because what about their generational curses that they might have upon them? And so you don't want to bring that child into your home because it could be a disturbance to your family and you might not know what things they're bringing with them into their, because maybe they grew up in like a location where there was, you know, some voodoo worship going on and maybe you don't know what their grandparents were into. And so if you bring that kid into your home, then your home could be like almost cursed because of it. So it was really harmful.
So something like,
I wanted to say there was a point in your book that really shocked me. And you mentioned how Bill Gothard taught about this woman who had a ship painting in her house. And she lost her family in a shipwreck. I don't know if that was just a made up story or a true story that he had actually heard of. And he taught of how having a painting of something could change your future and could make your family die in a shipwreck.
Yes, totally.
And here you are, a young girl hearing these things. And
that's terrifying.
I just can't imagine being a kid told that a painting in your room can affect.
Wait, hold on now. Come, wait a minute. You telling me a painting? That's what he's saying. It sounds like to me he took some stuff that and I have to agree with the person, the podcaster. He took some stuff that he'd heard other people talk about and found it taboo just to get a following. That is weird behavior. That's crazy. You took all this stuff from other people and you just found something negative about it and don't know. And you know, I talk about, now I'm going to be honest, I have talked about other people having voodoo and hoodoo as religion. I've also talked about how some things kind of intertwine, right, in certain areas because that's their culture. You understand? But it seems like he was pairing people and picking at different culture religions so he can make a profit to scare people about it. That is sick. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh. When I was a kid, I used to do some weird stuff. I was into skateboarding. I would wear these t-shirts that had like bloody snakes on them and skulls. My parents were terrified. They're like, my son's going to become goth and like would probably listen to a lot of rock music. And
look at you in your neutrals.
I know. I wanted to dye my hair black.
I'm safe.
That's crazy.
Well, I was really into that. Like, I thought it was cool, right? Like I was just a little boy. And so, man, I would have been screwed if that was true.
Big time.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing is like, you did have a generation of kids raised in that environment, terrified of everything.
Yeah.
They're just terrified of like, what's this going to do to me? Is God going to strike me down?
Yeah.
And he would even teach like, there would be things that were out of your control that you weren't aware of. And so hardships, like this is a story he told about a guy who was a business owner, bought a strip mall to invest in, and he allowed a store to be in there, and it had a liquor license.
Oh.
And he wasn't aware of it, but there was a liquor license, and everything starts going bad in his life. He's losing money, unhealthy, like terror striking him. He's going, what's happening? And then he finds out there was a liquor license. And so he gets rid of it and everything goes good. Well, that mindset is so superstitious. And you're constantly like looking around the corner, like, is God going to strike me down for something I'm not aware of?
Yeah, it's terrifying. It really is. And it affected a lot of the ways that I looked at the world around me. And I definitely lived in that fear for so long. Even if I was going out to like play broom ball with my siblings, I wouldn't want to go because maybe I had this feeling I was supposed to stay home and read my Bible. Well, if I go out, am I going to get killed in a car accident? Like I had that.
Listen, it's some Christians like that right now. They have a fear of everything. They really do. Like, I'll just be like, honey, they're fear of everything. We saw it. Like, there are some that are in fear. Like, seriously. They in the same way.
Fear. And it was something that until I was able to realize, okay, this isn't true. This is not based in the Bible. This is not how God sees me. Then that like produced freedom in my life where I could see, okay, I am not going to be defining like what my destiny is going to be based on what's around me and what decisions I make like that.
But as far as Bill Gothard's concerned, like props to him, because that's a great way to keep people entrapped in your scheme. Like if you can enslave them to the fear of what you're saying, they have to keep coming back because you've got the only answer.
One. Right. Don't have the answers. Right.
And he built his little kingdom.
Yeah.
And he'll have to answer to God for that. But as far as like a cult leader wants to go, like it's a good strategy to keep people entrapped in fear. And you see that pattern. That's why I think Ginger's book hit such a chord, because so many people don't know who Bill Gothard is. But these same kind of lies and tactics are used by people in the name of religion all the time.
Yeah.
And so you can honestly just like, you could even white out Bill Gothard's name, describe what he's done, and put in 1,000 other names. And so many people have experienced that.
I'm so curious, was there a time where something bad did happen to you, where you maybe, I don't know, did get in a car accident or something happened and you were like, that was it. Like I had that sinful thought and that caused that. Like, did that ever happen to you?
That is a good question.
I can't think of a time where it was specifically like that, but I think it was, for me, it was more just this overwhelming fear. So I didn't ever have an instance where I can say like, oh yeah, I didn't think I was supposed to go and this happened. Like I can't think back to a time where that actually took place, but I always had this looming fear above me whenever I would try to make decisions, just afraid that I would put myself in a bad place where something could happen.
And I think going back to like my stepping into this world, I quickly realized early on, like Ginger's view of God needs to shift. She loved Jesus and knew Jesus, but had this kind of ad nauseum reaction to this, like, God's going to strike me if I'm not perfectly aligned.
That's so sad.
And so as we would study the Bible together and she would see the beauty of her acceptance in Christ, where God looks at you, if you're united to Christ in faith, he looks at you the way he looks at his son. So if you've had a great week, he doesn't look at you any different. He looks at you the way he looked at you at the start of the week, which is covered in the righteousness of Christ. If you've had a horrible week, made terrible decisions, fallen into sin, he looks at you the way he looks at his son. And for so many Christians, they can miss that. And they really do think God is like up there in heaven. You know, it's like, he loves me not. He loves me based on your behavior.
Yeah.
And the very gospel is, when you're joined to Jesus in faith, you are covered with his righteousness.
Yeah,
so
they will be
literally you are
separated.
seen and accepted based on him, not you. And when Ginger kind of got hold of that, it was like, I mean, she just like, you could see the weight of coming off of her shoulders.
And I think that's interesting because I think people that hear your story and your upbringing with religion might be surprised that you are still like consider yourself a Christian and like participate in that way. And I guess like speak to people that might have that train of thought.
Yeah. I think that that's something that I've seen even in a lot of my friends who grew up in the system that I did. A lot of them have wrestled with that because it's so difficult whenever you were raised in something that has so many elements of truth on one side, and then at the same time it's like really tough to like figure out what is true. So I've said, like, I'm disentangling, instead of like deconstructing. There's so many who are just throwing their faith away, never to like, you know, they're gonna like tear it down to the studs, never build it up again.
Did you ever consider that?
It was, so for me, I was somebody who loved Jesus, and I knew that that was my only hope, and I knew that the word of God was true. And so whenever I realized that these teachings were so warped, for me, it was not an aspect of like, okay, I'm going to run away from all this, because I already had that relationship with Christ. For me, it was like, I could see, okay, this is not true, but I know that the Bible is true. I just need to pull out what was not true, what words they told me that were, they said, this is scripture. Bill Gothard would say like, okay, here's a verse of the Bible. This is what it says. Like, man shall not live by bread alone, right? So then he would take that verse and he would twist it and make it say like, okay, therefore, like, we actually do need this kind of bread. Like, he would go back into exactly the opposite of what the verse said and say, we need this specific bread maker. We need to do this. So I would just take that verse and say, okay, throw that out. That's not true what he said about like having to eat wheat so many times a week. You know, it's like, okay, no, we need to have a balance in this.
You do got to have a balance with the bread now. Bread is carbs. Okay, we see that. You be sitting here wondering why your pants don't fit. Why is it too snuggy? What is going on? It's the goddamn bread. It's that bread. And he telling them to eat the bread. You know what?
What does God's word actually say? What was the context of this? When was it written? Who was it written to? So just going back and learning the Bible again from a foundation of God's word being the authority, not a man's words speaking into it. That disentangling process has been hard. Yeah. There have been days where it's like tough to like work through all of that, and it can be confusing at times, but it's also the most freeing because I know that God's word is true, and that is my foundation. I'm not going to put my trust in a man or anybody else. My trust is just going to be in Jesus and in his words that he said in the Bible.
Obviously, you grew up in a household where you had 18 other siblings. So, Jeremy, you must have thought, maybe I'm signing up for this. Maybe I'm going to end up having 19 children. Who knows?
Did you think that growing up that you'd have 19 children?
Yeah. So it's very interesting. That was something that I was always kind of like a little bit afraid of, but I was never the one who was like, give me your kids. I'm going to go babysit your kids for you. Like, some of my siblings are more geared that way.
Yeah.
And they're all about like watching everyone's kids.
That's Abby.
Holding their kids. And I'm all for it. I was like, I will do the grocery shopping. I'll do all the laundry. I don't mind. Like, give me the chores around the house.
Yeah.
I love that. But I was not like, I don't know. I just didn't. I wasn't doing that. So then I wanted to have kids. I just was like really afraid of the thought of like having as many as possible. But that was what was, you know,
just kind of assumed that.
I remember the producers asked her, would she have all those kids? And I remember some of them was like, yeah, I want a lot of kids like my mom. And Jinger was like, no. She was like, no. She was like, I don't think I can do it. Because she would have to watch her siblings.
That was going to be it. I was going to get married and have a lot of kids. And so, on the show, if you watch the old shows, I'm sure I probably said it multiple times, I'm just going to have as many kids as possible. Because they'd always ask us, Yeah. And so I just say it over and over. But like, I was afraid. I was so afraid to like, think about that.
Yeah. But that's an interesting thing, because one of the major issues, I think, in that setting that she grew up in was they were always taught what to think, but they weren't taught how to think. So they weren't like,
because she really was like, no. I think she did say it because her mom wanted her to say it, or her dad. But I remember on that show, that girl did not want the look on her face when it came to watching her siblings and stuff. She even though they wanted her to mask it because she had to mask her feelings, Jinger wasn't with that. It was certain stuff that Jinger didn't even do.
Like, she didn't ever actually have the option to like.
I was never taught to like challenge anything.
Yeah, and go through and go, well, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
Well, what does my future? It was like, no, this is your future.
This is it.
This is what it's.
This is where we're going to go. So
Yeah, this is what it's going to look like.
And my parents were like, I will say, like, I think it was the system that like brought a lot of that in.
Yeah.
And so my parents like wanted us to like be able to do what we want to do, like hobby wise or whatever, you know, they like figure out what we're engaged in and like want to like come alongside us in that. But it also did provide a lot of cookie cutters within the system. And so you saw like kids just all wanting to do the same thing. Wow, this is amazing. You all have the same passions and hobbies because it was such a small box. There was not much you could do.
You can't like do drum lessons. It's like, that's kind of a no.
Yeah. It's like everybody does the same thing. And so
even
yeah, totally. And then even like having kids, it was something that once I realized that, okay, I don't need to have as many kids as possible. I just felt like a massive weight off of my shoulders because I just thought like, then kids can actually be, I think it can be a sweeter situation where they're coming in when they're like, when you're like, oh, we'd love to have a kid now. Let's have a kid. And instead of like the burden of kid after kid, you know, I'm like just getting over having a baby and I'm having another baby. Sometimes that happens, but it's like, it's not a burden. I saw so many moms in that setting who were just beat down. They were having child after child. They were on bed rest. They were so sick. The younger siblings were having to like care for the kids for the 9 months that the mom was sick with the next pregnancy. And then as soon as she was done, 3 months later, she gets pregnant again. And it just, it happens perpetually until she can't have kids anymore.
And the issue isn't like kids. Kids are incredible, right?
Kids are great and they are a blessing, but it's like everything in its right place.
Yeah. And it was the twisting of scripture to tell every woman, this is what you must do regardless.
Yeah.
And did you, sorry.
No, you're good. I mean,
did you feel like you missed out on your childhood because you were spending all this time having to help raise your other siblings, right? Like
my perspective now is like, okay, I don't want to look back too far and try to like pick apart what I wish I would have had or all of that, because I have to look at my life as a whole now moving forward and say, okay, there were things that I definitely would have changed in some of that. But like I said, I wasn't one of the ones who was like watching everyone's kids. I had two of my siblings who I would take care of and help with their schoolwork, their music practice, help them get their chores done, stuff like that. And I think that looking at that system, it is imbalanced. And I think that parents should be, they should take care of their kids. If you have them, you should take care of them. And kids can help out and learn responsibility in other ways, but maybe not in the motherly aspects of like what moms or dads should be doing. You have all the imbalances of like kids raising kids. I think that I saw that a lot in the system. And I think that that is unhealthy. And so I will look back at my childhood and say, okay, yes, there could have been things that have changed. Like we would never do organized sports because we were afraid of influences around us. And so we would do a family sport in the community with just people from the community would come and play, and we would all play that together. And I loved it. And so some of that, like things that maybe we missed out on was like, the kids would not know if they're athletic, because like we're playing sports in the backyard, but like you're not on teams. You aren't learning that.
Yeah.
You aren't learning what you can actually do. And so I think that being put in that box, that was something that I was, looking back, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have had maybe more opportunities to explore what I was really interested in that way. Like, so.
And when you were married, but you weren't having kids right away, were you guys getting questions from your parents?
No, it was like, we got back from the honeymoon and they were like, and I was like, I was looking at her like, is this normal to just be asking like, are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? And she's like, yes. In our setting it is. Like, and it was from like, her siblings or like friends.
On the show, like they would ask us to all the time. And it was like,
oh, the producer, every time we sit down for an interview, are you guys pregnant? Are you expecting?
They sure did. I remember that. We were waiting on Jinger to have a baby. I can't wait till she become a mom. Give her time. She'll be a mom. I remember when they came back from the honeymoon because I was like, oh, where's Jinger? Because I love Jinger. I was like, oh, where's Jinger? And they kept asking, is they pregnant? I'm like, they just got back. Like, come on.
We're like,
how did that make you feel?
Well, it made me feel she was used to it, I think, or expecting it.
I expected it.
Yeah.
Because that's just what you do in those settings.
For me, I was like, hey, get out of that aspect of our life.
Yeah, he's like, that's weird.
Why are you asking us about that?
But for me, I was like, okay, no, this is just what people do. Like this is what's expected of you almost.
This episode of Unplanned Podcast is brought to you by Huggies Skin Essentials.
Can we just give it up for Huggies, please? Can
Baby
we just
butts rejoice.
Baby butts rejoice.
You, just you, building your app on base 44. Describe it. And it's real. One thought leads to more thoughts. Layer by layer.
Man, we have lots of baby butts in this house, and
We've got 2
there's
butts,
nothing
4
sadder.
cheeks all together.
So many cheeks.
Thinking, oh no, maybe they think that we can't have kids. And like that's honestly probably where a lot of people would think, like, you know, if you grew up in that setting, you're going to have kids right away. Otherwise, maybe you can't. And so, but realizing, like, I think the further away from the system that I got, the more I realized, okay, I want to live my life to glorify God, but I don't also want to like be so much a people pleaser where I'm just like allowing everybody else to dictate what.
I think so too. I haven't seen how many she has had yet. Because I know she has quite a few kids. I practically know that for sure.
We should be doing as a family. And I think that was a balance that I needed to find. It took me a while to get there. It took me so many years. And there's still days where it's like really hard to like do your own thing. But at the same time, it was what brought me the most freedom. And then also realizing like, okay, other people are watching. They're seeing how you're living your life. Like people from the system, they want to see, are you willing to do hard things and to step outside of that and do what you're convicted of, not just what you're told to do. And I think that also provided room for other loved ones to like follow suit, to be able to like step outside of that system and think for themselves and not fear that they were going to be looked down upon maybe if they did something different.
Or if they would see her and it's kind of like they're waiting for the lightning to strike.
Yeah.
And then they realize,
like
it doesn't.
Because they're like, oh,
wearing
you guys
pants, not having, you know, as many kids as like maybe everybody else is going to have. And so those things, I think there's so much fear that will keep you bound if you let it.
Yeah.
Well, did they like assume that you were like not able to have kids, or were they thinking, oh my gosh, they're using birth control, that's not okay?
I don't know. We just didn't talk about it.
We waited a year. So
it wasn't super long.
You're like, it's a year.
Okay. It was just a year. But so we just waited a year and then I was like ready. And then
my approach was just when she says, let's have kids. Cause I'm like, yeah, let's have kids. You know?
But I mean, now like Evie is 3.5.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
We jumped into like newly married, but I still feel like we bypassed like the courtship thing, which would be very interesting to a lot of people because I don't feel like a lot of people navigate engagement, relationships like that. So what did that look like for the two of you?
Oh, it was, for me, it seemed like it was going to be, you know, like more normal because like my family, all of them just did this courtship thing. But then when it comes down to where it's like, it's actually you in the courtship, I think even Jeremy being an outsider coming in, looking at it, and we would talk through like, okay, are we going to have my 10-year-old brother there as my chaperone to be with us at dinner or in the car?
Yeah, so really,
it was interesting. Once we were engaged, especially, like, I think that's where I started to realize, oh, wow.
Has 6 or 7. And I think she had 6 or 7. Jessa did come out and wear pants too, but I haven't heard her say anything yet. So she kind of like, I think she was used as a second mother because she's the second oldest. She didn't get married until recently. Yep. I think Jana, one of them was like, didn't get married at all. Everybody was getting married. She just got married. She just got married. But I think a lot of them are coming out of this religious cult and they're starting to crawl out of it because Jessa is now wearing pants and coming out of it. Like a lot of them are creeping out of that.
We actually need time to talk about things that we need to talk about, just us. And so if he came out to visit, we were long distance. He was in Texas. I was in Arkansas. So if he flew out to visit for a weekend, he would say, okay, I'm going to call you when I get home. Or like, if he was, even if we were like in person, we needed to talk.
Because your 10-year-old brother is there. You're like, he doesn't need to hear
You
this.
can't talk. You can't talk about that when you're about to get married. So
I never did the only chaperones we would use is like, we'd go on a double date or something because I just wasn't going to do.
He was like, nah.
I wasn't going to have a 10-year-old kid with me. Like, it was kind of absurd. So,
so just going to dinner.
I was just like, you know what, Ben and Jess, you want to go on a double date or something?
Did this happen after you played professional soccer?
Oh yeah, and
so you'd been like, I'm sure. I don't know if you've like traveled the world doing that.
Yeah,
but you must have just been like a guy, just being a guy, and then you're like, okay, now I need a 10-year-old on my date with my girlfriend.
And he was pastoring a church at the time.
Okay, I'm like doing marriage counseling.
How old are you?
I was 27.
He's 27. So.
You're old. You were older than me when this was going on.
So that was the thing. Is like I would literally go from like pastoring a church, I'm doing marriage counseling, and then step into a setting where it was like those rules, and that's where I say it was like playing the rules, not the game. It was like so focused on the rules, missing the point of what we're doing, the objective here, which is like, and I told her honestly, and this is why I wouldn't be pro courtship or anything. If I need, because the spirit behind it is good, right? Like, oh, you want to have purity and you want to really focus on each other and not get physically entangled. And okay. But if I really need these rules to keep me moral, I'm not a good dude. Like, don't marry me. Like, if the only thing keeping me.
Oh, that's right. He say, listen, if I need to have that, you don't need to marry me, meaning I don't have no self-control as a man, period. I know that's right. That's what he basically saying. He was like, ain't no point in marrying me. I don't have no self-control then. What's the point of getting married if I don't even have self-control?
Pure and focused on her and loving her well is like a chaperone. I'm not a good person. Like, I need to work on self-control. So we saw through those boundaries. And here's the deal. You can get around boundaries if you want to get around boundaries. Legalism and rules never accomplish. It looks like it's going to work, but it never does what it actually doesn't deal with the issue. And so Jinger and I honestly looked at our courtship and said, we'll make the most of it. I wanted to obviously respect that. And so
Jared was so respectful, like coming into that setting. He didn't have like an attitude about him, which I think I really appreciated that. And I think he didn't even know all of what he was getting himself into. I always tell him, I'm like, you didn't know what you're getting yourself into when you stepped into our world. But he was so good about like, okay, I'm going to jump through these hoops because this is like what's required of me. And then, we'll have our lives together.
I want to ask how that even happened in the first place. Like, because you guys met at a conference, did you say, come back home and be like, Mom, Dad, there's this guy. Did you ask to court him? Like, how does that even work? Getting started in that?
It was crazy. So whenever he showed up there, I met.
Debbie, you missed it. Debbie, I showed a video of Michelle running to the people's cars. Michelle got on pants too, and she was angry. But we're going to get into Michelle either Wednesday or Thursday. I guarantee you that.
Him at that conference. And it wasn't until later, like, how many months later was that? Several. It was several. It was December.
Five or six, yeah.
So 5 or 6 months went by and he was talking to Ben and Jessa. And you'd visited like one other time, came to our house in between then just to hang out with my brother-in-law because they were friends. And he was like, oh yeah, I have some sister-in-laws, my brother-in-law.
He's like, I got a few.
And so, you have some to choose from. Here you go. Just take your pick. So he took his pick and it worked out. But it was like, what happened was, though, he signed up for a missions trip that we were all going on.
Yeah, I started to like her. And I'm like strategizing with Jessa.
How
and Jessa's
can I get
like,
to know her?
She's like, go on this missions trip because you have all these guys coming trying to get to know these girls. Obviously, there's a wall up because of the TV and all that. She's like, go on this missions trip. You'll get to know my family really well.
And it was being recorded for the show.
No, that one wasn't.
Oh, okay.
No, that one wasn't.
I don't think so. They had already filmed a lot of them. I don't think they wanted to go on that.
So I signed up for that. And so that was Jessa's kind of a helpful strategy. And she's like, you'll get to see Jinger as well. Like for this, I think it was a week long.
Yeah. We were gone for like 2 weeks. I think you only came for like the first part. And
so
it was great.
I went like, okay, I want to get to know her obviously better, but I also want to get to know her family and stuff. And so it was organic. It was as organic as it could be.
It was really pretty chill. We were on like a big missions group with like, I don't know, 60 other people or so. We were able to just like be around each other on that trip away from like even filming and stuff, which is great.
I agree. It really did. I did see him because they had I was like, where's the bathing suits? They could have wore a one piece with some shorts. I was just like, oh my God, nothing. But when he got with her vintage, he didn't deconstruct her, but he was like letting her know like her family was in a cult. Like he was just like telling her like things that he was seeing that just wasn't, that's not accurate. That's not what that is, and that she was being lied to. And she realized too, that she started to realize like, oh my God, like what it really was. That's why she started to wear pants a lot. And she likes wearing pants a lot, I've seen. And I don't blame her for that. I would too. Yep. So, the Bates family, yes. Oh, the Bates, oh my gosh. Yes.
Less pressure that way. And it was awesome because whenever we came back from that trip, well, he had talked to my dad at the end of that trip. You can tell him about that.
Yeah, and I just expressed interest. And so he wanted to get to know me, obviously, which is understandable.
Was that like a high pressure conversation to enter into?
No, I don't think so. He probably saw it coming a mile away.
Okay.
Like
it's like you're talking to his daughter all this time. And
I think I'm being slick, like on this fishing trip.
Yeah. And he signed up like a week before the trip.
Yeah.
And we had signed up like several months before. They allowed him to like come last minute.
I think Jessa pulled some.
So Jessa was like, "We got to get this guy on this trip."
But so he saw it coming, I think. But so I just asked him like, "Hey, I want to get to know her," and he was like, "Yeah, she's great." And I was like, "I know," and he's like, "Well, you need to get to know me first." So.
I mean, yeah. What was that conversation though?
It was like a 3-minute conversation. I remember it.
Oh,
it was
pretty short.
Yeah,
I would have thought it was like a long because you literally watched 60 hours of Bill Gothard's teachings.
Well, no, this was later. That was later.
That was later. Yeah.
So that was like Abby said, we got our timeline. We zoomed forward. So I asked Mr. Duggar, and then he's like, "Let's get to know each other first." And then that's where him and I start talking. And he actually asked me soon after to start watching the Gothard stuff.
Was it a VHS tape? Like, how did you get this?
No, they had a website. It's streamed online. Yeah.
It's streamed online.
And
was there questions afterward to make sure you actually watched it?
Oh yeah, we would talk about it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we would talk on Friday mornings and chat about it. And at first, it was interesting because going back to the whole Gothard thing, I was just like, oh, this guy's got some interesting things to say. It was kind of philosophical. And I remember in one of our first conversations, Jinger and I talking about those. She asked me what I thought, and I went, "Yeah, he's not a Bible teacher, but he's got some interesting things to say." I think that's like my exact sentence. And I think for her, she was like, "What?"
It was really shocking
because she thought he was the Bible teacher.
He was the most amazing person.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, he would. So that's what made Gothard effective was he had a cultural analysis which was accurate. It was the solution that got wonky. So he talked about the rise of humanism and secularism, and you're just going, "Yeah, that's right," And so those initial sessions I watched, I would at times go, "Ooh, that's a little interesting," but there weren't like alarm bells going off,
Yeah, it wasn't until the further in you get to the teachings.
And with Jim Bob, did he ask you questions about have you dated somebody before? Have you kissed somebody before?
Oh my goodness, bro! I had a 50-page questionnaire I filled out.
Wait, you're kidding? It was actually a sheet.
Yeah.
So it was like, how far have you been with a woman?
Yeah, everything.
Every single question. Have you smoked weed? Have you drank? All those questions.
Everything.
What was the most bizarre one that was like, what is like anything that threw you off that wasn't expected on the sheet?
Probably all of it. I think it started out like,
do you have any debt? What is,
So it was financial. It was moral. It was relationships. It was past history. It was
family's history.
Oh, it was view on finances, view on debt, view on family, view on kids, view on. I mean, it was like.
Was it provided by the IBLP or did he create it?
Somebody.
I think somebody in the IBLP.
Yeah, I think somebody did, and they sent it to him.
And low key, it was actually. It's like I wasn't mad at it because it's a great conversation.
It seems really crazy if it's. I mean, it was crazy, but I'm just saying, like. It actually did end up on the flip side of it. It ended up producing a lot of conversation for us.
It's great. Like
because
I
was able to kind of look at that and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna look through this and see.
Honestly, now that I'm thinking, I'm like, I was about to be like, that's crazy. But when I'm thinking about this, I'm like, that's kind of good. Like if you're marrying somebody that has $200,000 of student loans, you might want to avoid that relationship.
Bro, just wait. If you guys have a daughter,
that's a horrible thing to say.
Right? I mean, seriously, come on.
If you're a teacher and you marry someone,
you're handing these out. You're making photocopies.
Done. It's already done.
We could have gone to school at like Michigan, right, where it was 60 grand a year, and put all that into, like, that would have all been debt. And then here we have an arts degree. Like, how do you make money with an arts degree when you have what is that, 240 grand in debt?
He's crunching numbers
4?
right now.
Right? That's
He's
$250,000 in
but
debt.
So here's the crazy thing. So
yeah, I like that.
So like I said, like the motivation for a lot of that was good, because a lot of couples, this is what happens. Couples get involved physically. They get involved on like superficial personality traits. Like, oh my goodness, we get along so good because we both love the same movies. And they actually go real serious, real fast with an intense relationship, and oftentimes never actually hit the reality of life and engage on the reality of things that are years down the road. But because it's such a superficially based relationship, they're not thinking permanence. They're not thinking long term. And so, you know, when you think about what a marriage is, when you're saying I do, and you're saying those cute words, you know, in sickness and in health, well, in poverty and wealth, no, that's real. And life is hard, and life is difficult, and love is not a feeling first. It's a decision that results in feelings, but it's a self-sacrificial decision to commit to someone regardless of anything else. No matter what happens, I love you the way Christ has loved me, which means I love you in spite of your failures, mistakes, in spite of whatever life throws at us. I am choosing to love you. That's heavy. And so people who go into marriages, and I do pre-marriage counseling all the time, people go into marriage not thinking about the basic foundational elements of life. And that includes finances, that includes moral decisions, that includes children or whatever else. So to front load relationships with questions like that, I'm not saying like on second date, be like, okay, let's talk about,
but maybe not 50 pages.
50 pages.
So it like, that's a good motivation. And honestly, like I have 2 daughters, like I'm putting those guys through the ringer. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to just,
not like in a,
but it becomes like this formalized kind of like, and that's where purity culture, I think, went wrong.
Yes.
But
it's almost
created,
it's too formal at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which that's the issue I think that I saw with it too, is like it's super formal and there's so much pressure to like know if you want to like be in a courtship with this person before it's actually like known. And probably part of that was too, I don't know. I mean, part of it was we were in the public eye. And so if you bring somebody around that you're talking to, you need to know right away, like, am I going to be in a relationship with this person? Because maybe they're going to film something about us and then maybe it'll air. And then if we break up, it's more pressure. So we also had that.
Yeah.
But with the whole courtship thing, I think that the main thing was like, there's pressure to know like, okay, do I want to like marry this person tomorrow? Well, I don't know. I need to get to know you. But you also like, can't be casual friends.
That really freaked me out with Abby because I viewed relationships in the same way. So I almost broke up with Abby in the first month because I was like, am I going to marry this girl? I don't know. And it was eating me alive. It was freaking me out.
What?
And I was like, because I had that same view. I was like, okay, dating is for marriage. So like, am I going to marry her? I got to decide right now.
Right.
And it's like,
it's like rushing. Okay, well, I'm a date and then I'll decide if I marry them or not. But they never had that situation where you're dating, you know what I'm saying, to see where it go. Is dating, okay, this is who we're going to get married. Boom, bam. I like them. Let's go. That's just what it was.
She's cool. She's my friend. Like, we really like each other. I don't know. That's really freaking scares me. And so I almost ended it because of that. But I'm so curious because Abby was my first relationship. I'm so curious. Was Ginger your first relationship?
No. And I was open with her about that at first. Like, I got married when I was 28 and she got married when she was 22. There's 6 years. So I just turned 28. She was 22. And if I had gotten married when I was 22, it would have been a disaster, right? I was not in a place of maturity, of spiritual maturity. And so I'd had previous relationships.
They have it to where they court and then whoever they court and they marry. This is what it was.
And so, and she was aware of that, but I was her first serious relationship too.
So was that hard though, not being, because you had to keep physical distance between you at all times. You couldn't just like watch a movie with your hand over her shoulder, right? Like,
well, we could sit on the couch next to each other or whatever, but like, it was just rules. Like they just have a lot of rules. So,
but for me, like I was pastoring. I was really serious about my relationship with the Lord by that point in my life.
yeah.
And so I wanted physical
Mature.
purity.
Yeah,
I didn't want. Yeah.
We didn't like I think that it would have been fine to like kiss before we were married, but we didn't.
Yeah.
Like we followed all the
he
rules
was
that
out in
my
the
family
world.
wanted us to follow.
He played. I think he was an athlete. He was a soccer player. I think that's what they said he was. He played soccer and stuff, so he was an athlete
at Living Spaces. We offer stylish sofas at incredible prices. Like the alley sofa for just $4.95.
Thinking all these things. So I'm curious. Yeah. I'm curious why you chose to go through with all that.
Well, he dated. He did all that stuff, and to see what's out there, right? And she never had that. So,
well, because I was still in the system, I still had a lot of things that I was coming out of. And the other side was I did want to like respect my parents' wishes. And I thought, okay, this is a season. And yes, it's our life, but it's also like their wishes. And so I wanted them to like Jeremy. I wanted them to like this relationship happening. And so I thought if there are any of those things where I can like give up whatever I might want to do. And at that point, I probably would have thought maybe I should, save my first kiss for my wedding day. Like I probably still believed that. But like, I think a lot of those things started to fall off later. And at the same time, they were like having the chaperone there was not convenient all the time. And that was something that I probably could have had a conversation with my parents and even said, hey, like, I don't really see it the same way, but I didn't. I also wanted to just like, probably because I was working through so much of the teachings and breaking it down.
Jinger did come out. Remember we talked last week when we did this about them. This weekend, she was saying that she was a people pleaser. She wanted to please her parents. She wanted to please everybody. She was a people pleaser. Even if that's not what she wanted to do, she was a people pleaser. That's what it was. She wanted to please others. And she have learned that people pleasing is not, a thing, because there are some things that just, it don't need, you have to stand up for yourself. So that's what she learned, that to not be a people pleaser.
I thought, okay, I'm just going to work through this on my own right now
and
not talk too much about it.
There was never a desire to be disrespectful or like even if there's things, it's like, oh, we should do it differently. Jinger and I both were totally ready to lay down our rights and say, we'll follow your wishes.
Yeah.
And knowing like, I knew I was falling in love with who she was. Mm-hmm. And so the superficial things, even like, I didn't press on her not to wear skirts, or she came to those decisions on her own. Mm-hmm. And I really wasn't that concerned about it because I was in love with her. And so I knew too, like, hey, the more we live life together and the more she's grounded in the Word of God, some of this stuff will just fall away. Like, because it doesn't really have any, doesn't have any teeth to hold her.
And I think you saw a lot of that. Like even as we were talking about the teachings and stuff, and I just like had a light bulb moment, I was like, what is this?
I knew
like,
she got it.
Kind
like
of
she got it,
my eyes were open to how bad the teachings were that I was in, and I really wanted to come out of them. And so I think he saw that too.
And I wasn't in a rush to like be like, oh, can we change things? Mm-hmm. It was kind of like, hey, I know who this woman is at her core. That's who I'm marrying. And if we need some chaperones, it's like, sure. And I'm going to do everything to respect her father and respect her mother. And I'm not trying to come in here like, this big, shake things up. Yeah. I'm going to be respectful. And honestly, that's how I'd want somebody to approach me for my daughters. Like, even if I have rules they don't agree with, it's like, hey man, that's my daughter and I want you to respect that. And ultimately, I think I wanted to have integrity through that whole process.
That's really commendable.
What was it like the first time you wore pants in front of your family?
I can't remember when the first time was I did that.
Really? I didn't know if that was a big moment. I know.
Was it the other day? Was it last?
Okay.
No. It was probably maybe a couple years after I started wearing pants.
Wow.
Because we live far away from them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the first few times I went back, I was not wearing pants. I wore a skirt because it was it was just I knew that's a big deal for my family, and I didn't want to my heart is not to rub anything in anyone's face and be like, I'm doing this. I'm doing my own thing. I ultimately want to play a long game of showing them that, okay, I love you. I know that we disagree on a lot, but I want you to see that I'm walking with Christ and this is what I'm doing. I don't feel like it's a sin to live my life in this way, to do what I'm convicted of now. And I want them to see long-term those things, but I don't have a heart to like rub it in their face.
And that's where about Ginger's process, like with all these things that seemingly seem insignificant, like pants or something, Ginger's heart has always been, I want to honor my family. I want to respect them and love them. And ultimately I want to have a sweet relationship. So there's never been a mindset of like, oh, I'm free. And so even when we approached those topics, it was always thoughtful. It was always, let's have a conversation. Let's explain where we're at. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like we got married and then she went, okay, I'm writing a book. Mm-hmm. That was a 5, 6, 7 year process of her going,
me living my life and then seeing like, okay, now I want to share this story because I see these teachings are so damaging, and coming out of them, it made me want to like speak, because I could look over and see friends and loved ones who are being so harmed by this teaching all around me. Yeah. And I can't just be quiet.
And did you think through the conversation, call up your parents and tell them, hey, I'm not wearing pants? Or was it one of those things where you're like, I'm just doing this, and then they find out however they find out?
Yeah, just like you said, just having a conversation with them.
Oh, you did? You felt the need to call them up and let them know?
Because it's a big enough thing in my family. Like, that's huge. Okay. It might seem so small. Like Tara said, it seems so insignificant to so many. But for my family, that was massive. And so I wanted to let them know, regardless of how things go, like, I just want to be able to share that. And I don't feel like I have to share every little thing with them now. Like, even looking at our lives, we are living our lives however we want. We're not like, oh, I have to call my mom and dad and tell them, okay, I'm going to do this differently. But that was like one of the first things. And also, I think the big thing is just because we're in the public eye, I knew that there was going to be so much that would blow up. If it's like a paparazzi photo when we're out that's taken, okay, that happens all the time. So like, let's just be ready for it. I'm just going to tell them. And then that way they know, and they know that it came from a heart of like, hey, this is what I feel convicted of, or don't anymore,
Uh-huh. Yeah, when she wore pants, I'm going to say this. Yeah, they say it was a sin to wear pants. When she wore pants, it was everywhere. Like, you saw her in these cute jeans, these pants. I think the first one was this cute pantsuit she had on. It was like a navy blue with a nice top. And it was cute. She had colored her hair. It was just her. And she was just so cute. It was at a conference. I was like, oh, wow, she's wearing pants? Oh, okay. I was like, oh, okay. So they're finding themselves. They're pulling away from it.
And they can just know from my heart, and then we'll move on. And so that's kind of how it was with a couple different things that I felt convicted of, whether that was like getting a mortgage on a house, like because my dad's in real estate. I was like, well, let's just run this by him, and we're going to just tell him what we're doing. Like, not like, hey, what do you think of what we're doing? Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's an element of that. Like, we asked our other like counselors in our life at that point what we should do. And they were like, yeah, go for it. And so I just wanted to include them on a couple of those things. But as we've moved on, like, we have our lives here. We're established. We have a great community around us, an awesome church that we're a part of and love it. And so like, we'll have other people that we're asking those questions to now. And I think it's a healthy place to be, but I just always wanted to.
She did dye her hair blonde. She sure did. She dyed it blonde. You could tell that it grew out, and she just keep it with streaks around. She even cut her hair. Remember, her hair was longer than that. She chopped her hair. Yeah. Yep. Wearing shorts. Yep.
Show them that I loved and cared about them, even if we have differences.
Wow. Yeah. I did not think through, obviously it is a big deal, but yeah, just wanting to tell your parents, hey, I mean, I respect you calling them and telling them that, because you obviously didn't need to do that, but just like caring about them enough to call them up. How does that, is that frustrating when something gets picked up in the media? Or I'm sure there's been so many articles written about, like, we've never dealt with paparazzi. We make TikToks, like we're not paparazzi people, but you've dealt with that. And so it must be really frustrating when people twist the storyline or try to paint you out to be somebody. How does that make you feel?
I don't know. I think just having grown up in the public eye, there's a certain level of realizing, okay, this is just our life. And it's not like we have this crazy amount of paparazzi following us every single day. There were seasons where it was wild like that. And it's ultimately, I realized, like, whatever they say, there's always going to be a naysayer. There's always going to be someone, if it's a comment in your social media, all of us experience it. You know, if it's a friend saying something behind our back, whatever it is, at the end of the day, I just want to let it like roll off my back. If it's something that's negative. Now, if it's something that's legit, then that's where it hurts worse. Like if it's kind of like twisted, you know, it's like, oh, Jinger did this and she's doing this despite her parents. I'm like, no, I am doing, like, I'm going to wear pants, but it's not to make them mad. Like those things bother me if it's like about my family or if it's about my kids. So for instance, we have kept our kids off of social media. That's something I felt like both of us felt like really inclined to do. And so we showed Felicity at the beginning for a little bit when she was small. And then I just really felt like I don't want their faces out there. I don't want them to have to like just be a part of this because I was. And I said, like, if they have, you know, want a following later, they can go do that for themselves when they're old enough to decide. But that was something we felt convicted about. Well, then all these articles pop up about my youngest, Evie. They were like, well, why haven't you showed her? You know, like you won't show her face. Does she have a medical condition that you're ashamed of? Like, what's the thing that's wrong with her? And so you'll still see articles about that. And it's like, you know, if you don't show them, then they're like, oh, this is crazy. They always think that we have major marriage issues if we aren't on social media for a couple of months. And I'm like, no, it's just because like I'll like push through social media, do stuff, you know, and then I'll get burnt out. So then I just back off and I'm like, it's fine. I won't do anything on social media for a few months.
We just haven't taken a picture together.
I just want to like, yeah. But it's like, because you've lived your life in front of them for so long, there will be just a few people who will write up all this stuff. And so those types of things, now we just kind of laugh it off and like, oh, that's funny.
We've had people on the show that have been a part of like family vlogs on YouTube, and one of the siblings decided, hey, I don't really want to like be in the videos that much. And so their parents respected that, you know, didn't have them in the videos. And same thing, their audience was like, oh my gosh, they hate that kid.
People just love a big story.
It's like, what is the drama? Oh my gosh, they don't like their kid. And
wild.
So I find that so fascinating that they kind of did the same thing. The media did that with you guys.
Yeah.
Drama sells. I mean, it's just you get clicks. The more clicks you get, the internet has changed that for journalists. Because now it's about clicks. You can actually measure how many people viewed this, how many people, and then they see like, oh, these negative headlines get thousands more views. And so it's not genuine journalism. It's like journalists who fail journalism, but it gets clicks because the more audacious you can be. And then obviously you have the laws in our country really protect the journalist from defamation. So it's like you really can't sue for defamation. And so they're just after clicks. And so we understand that. And so it kind of rolls off our back like,
hey sis, he not lying, because we could sit here and look at a title or something and people will say things just to get clicks because they don't. I mean, we see it on here all the time. They don't have some people don't have content. They can't talk about other stuff. They can't go down and break down a story. What I think about Jinger. Oh, you miss it. I feel like if it wasn't for him and being respectful of his boundaries, Jinger would have never figured out who she was outside being a Duggar. And I feel like he kind of helped push her through that because she didn't realize she was in a cult until he broke down everything to her. And he was saying how he broke everything down to her and she had realized that she was lied to her whole entire life. He said that they made him do a questionnaire. He said that they tried to get the 10-year-old brother to do and I like what he said. He said he tried to get the 10-year-old brother to do, they were trying to get their little siblings to be a chaperone. He said, if I have to be chaperoned, I'm not to be trusted. I don't have no self-control, and you shouldn't marry me. He said, I wouldn't have no self-control. Like, if I got to be chaperoned, and that show I'm not a good guy, I have no self-control. So they had a conversation about how they were going to be chaperoned. He said that he felt offense because when he came back from the honeymoon, when they came back, they asked, he said he understood it. But at the same time, he was like, why are y'all asking if she pregnant already? Like, they wanted her pregnant bad. He was like, what is wrong with y'all?
Early on in our relationship, we determined, this is like initial. Now we'll read some headlines, but it just pops up. But early on, I mean, our engagement was on magazine cover or whatever, and I was just stepping into this world. We were just like, we're just not going to read it, because what happens is the good headlines, and I guess this is true of like comments too. Like if you put out a video or put on a reel and you read good comments, you're like, oh yeah, it can easily go to your head and puff you up. Mm-hmm. But then the negative ones cut to your heart and like tear you down. Yeah. And so you find yourself on this roller coaster of people's opinions, and some guy's like eating Cheerios in his mom's basement, and all of a sudden like my emotional state is being affected because he didn't like the way I put the car seat in the car. Yeah. And so
the way I put the car seat
it's facts.
Car seats I've gotten that comment too, man. Just avoid the car seat.
So you just go, I'm just not going to read it. Like, I'm just going to avoid that. And I was told that, playing soccer professionally, it was like, do not listen to the blogs. Like, do not go on Twitter. Do not, because you'll have a performance and people will just rip you apart. And so it's better just to keep your headspace, on reality.
Mm-hmm. When you're life is so public and you're on a TV show, I'm curious, like, was there a point where you're like, are we gonna get we gonna see some money out of this? Like, was that a conversation that you had with the producers, your parents? Because
they did. They gave they gave the husband a book, because they do, is it ILB, something like that. They gave him, I forgot the man's name that quick. They gave him the book, and he went through the book, and he knew that it wasn't right then and there.
Counting On was a show that you guys were very much a part of. So I'm sure you probably had to make some sacrifices for the show and to make that happen, right?
Yeah, that was interesting. The dynamics there. We chose not to make money an issue, because once you mix money and family, things get complicated real fast. We understood there was issues with the money. That show was making a ton of money, but Jinger and I just both determined we're not going to make this an issue. Even though this might be a hill that we can fight on, we're just not going to fight on that hill.
We had conversations, but we just kind of like, at the end of the day, it was like, okay, we'll just do our own thing, make our own money somehow.
And so we determined, I mean, through counsel and talking to others too, like, we're just not going to fight that battle. Gotcha. And so if some came in, we were like, great. And if it didn't, we just honestly just said, we're not going to fight that battle, because we just knew, honestly, we saw bigger issues. Yeah. And I think there were some issues that seemed to be like leaves on the tree, but the root of the issue was deeper and more theological. And Jinger had a conviction, I want to speak to the deeper issues. Yeah. And I don't want the others to get in the way of my voice on that.
Yeah, because for me, my heart really is in all of that. I want to, at the end of the day, I want to have, it's not about like just going over the issues and like just covering them up. That's not the thing. We talked through a ton of issues and work through. It was hard, And at the end of the day, it's like, I want my loved ones to see, like, to come out of these teachings. And so I want to be helpful to them, to like get them out of this system, to get them, like, that was my drive. And so I thought, I want to be in a place where I can still talk to them and still be in their lives. Like, I don't want to be alienated. Like, I don't want to make unwise decisions to where it would be tough to do that later.
And not to say those issues shouldn't be addressed, and them being addressed have been addressed properly. Yeah. It was just the avenue we thought.
The timing too.
Yeah. We just thought this is what we're going to.
Was a huge thing, because like we did have conversations about a lot of things that were not easy.
Yeah.
But I think that our heart in all of it was just to make sure that whatever we were doing, that we would be living as we wanted to as a couple. And then from there, like my goal is just to like reach my friends and loved ones to like pull them out.
Oh, wow.
Are you sure your tax expert is right for you? Switch to TurboTax Full Service.
Y'all
You'll be matched.
can see those on
This episode is sponsored by DoorDash. You guys, we just got back from a long trip.
Conviction on what I think I'm supposed to do based on what other people want me
Okay,
to think, right? And it was tough. Like we wanted to be, you know, have our kids off of TV or things like that, where there were aspects where it was things that we wanted to do. And we realized like, okay, we might not be able to get everything that we want right now. Like it's not possible. And so I wanted just to play a long game with my family relationships, to preserve those, to be able to be a good influence on them, to like get them out of these teachings was my goal. So like even when I wrote that book, right, like going into that, I was like, maybe I shouldn't write this book because family relationships might be harmed by it. They might think that I'm doing this out of spite, or sharing my story for another reason. If they think like, oh, maybe this book's going to do well, so I'm going to share my story, make money off of it. I didn't want to make that an issue. So I said, well, I'm convicted that I should write this. So I'm going to do that, even though it's hard. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was the right thing to do. So I'm not going to sacrifice conviction on what I think I'm supposed to do based on what other people want me to do or not say, you know? But at the end of the day, when it came to like the show and all of that stuff, I was like, I'm going to set that aside for the opportunity to be in their lives and to be able to speak into their lives in a positive way to hopefully help them come out of these teachings.
So writing the book, phrasing that as the hardest thing you've ever done, I quite honestly listening to it, like
she wrote a book, Amy wrote a book, Jill wrote a book. Now, we will talk about Jill tomorrow. I know it's probably, Jill might be a lot more emotional with hers a little bit more and how she felt with some things. But the mama now wearing pants, Anna she's still wearing skirts, child. I think. I gotta look at an update picture. Anna is Josh's wife. She the one that says she ain't going no goddamn well. No matter that's her husband. They gonna stay together. She not leaving. She not going nowhere. That's what she said. And we gonna talk about her too.
I've assumed that it probably was hard, but for it to be,
I'm still stuck on you know your husband. The thing that I have a problem with Anna is, you know what your husband did. You know what your husband went through, right? And let's be honest. But for you to come out, oh, well, I'm going to still stand by my husband so proudly, it's like, girl. Because I would think, I would be kind of, like, oh, she's wearing pants. Yeah, she ain't leaving Josh. And I would be kind of like, I wouldn't, like, some things you just can't, you gotta be like, nah, I'm straight. And some things it's just weird. I wouldn't let him touch me again. Like, no.
The hardest thing you've ever done, what, like, I guess elaborate on that for me, which, I mean, the more I hear you talk about it, I'm like, okay, duh, no wonder this was tricky. Like, this is your whole life. This is everything that you knew. There must have been a lot of pain intertwined with all that. So I guess
I think just because of the system, it was my life. It was everything. So if you're just in like, sorry.
No, you're okay.
I don't usually get too this emotional over this, but I think it is painful. Like when you leave everything that you've known and you sacrifice relationships over it, it's hard.
I'm so sorry.
When you sacrifice relationships with like friends, people thinking that you're doing the wrong thing by speaking out, it's hard because it's like, especially being in such a tight-knit community where those are your people. And I was building my own community outside of it, but I did not have even the strongest community when I was in that place of starting writing. So that aspect of like having a few close friends that I was starting to film, get friendships with, and having a good community around me was just beginning in a new place because we had just moved, to LA. And then writing that and realizing like, okay, if I write this book, I could really just cut off all I've ever known. And that was the risk that I had to take. And ultimately in the end, yes, there have been some that I probably won't be close to because I wrote that book. But then at the end of the day, I realized like, okay, I have also been able to help way more people than I ever would have if I lived in that fear of being like in the comfort of like where I thought I was. It wasn't actually comforting because I was living so gripped by that fear of like, I can't ever say anything. I can't ever speak out about this because I just knew where that would lead me. It would lead me in a place like with no one. But ultimately, that's not what has happened. And writing this book has been the best thing that I've ever done because it's also helped me to grow. It's helped me to realize like, okay, I want to be a voice to speak up whenever it's hard. And I want to show even others who are in that place to be willing to do the hard things, be willing to step outside of that harmful theology that you might be in right now. Do the hard thing now and you won't regret it later. And so that's something that even for my kids, I want them to see that it's not best to take the easy route. It feels comfortable in the moment, but you're going to help more people if you are willing to sacrifice yourself in that way.
And I know your book has been an inspiration to so many. I'm sure people tell you that and write reviews about that all the time. Something I'm curious about is like in choosing to write this book was one of those tough conversations you had to have probably with your parents.
Yeah. I had to share with my parents. And it was hard having those conversations with them because ultimately I chose to write my book from a perspective of the theology being the driving force because I thought if my mom reads this, if my dad reads this, if my siblings read this, how are they going to take it? I don't want to like not talk about things that need to be talked about because they can be offended at what I said that is true. Like you can be offended that I say that Bill Gothard is a false teacher. But I don't want you to be offended over a petty thing that I might have said about you. So I chose to keep it focused on the issues of the teaching that I was raised in, to keep it more broad, like where if anybody reads this coming out of a harmful teaching, that they can be brought out of their teaching too. And so that's the perspective that I wanted to take. And I told them that from the beginning. I think that was one more conversation that I had that I thought this is needful to share with them what I'm writing, and they don't have to be happy about it, but it's what I need to do.
Was that hard to like weigh that versus like, scripture saying honor your mother and father? Was that been like a really hard thing to like separate?
Not for me. I don't think that was an issue because I am honoring them. Honoring doesn't mean obeying. It doesn't mean doing everything that they say. And as a couple, we are our own family unit. And so I need to love and honor my parents, which means respect them, but I don't have to bow down to like everything that they say I need to do. And so that for me was very clear. I had clear conscience going into that, writing this book, thinking I'm honoring them. I even said I'm grateful for, my childhood. It was not perfect. I shared a lot of difficulties that I struggled with throughout my childhood, but at the end of the day, like, I'm grateful for my parents. I love them. We have differences. Everything's not perfect between us, but I think that at the end of the day, I love them and I know that they know that. And I think that it's good that we're able to speak out, especially like being in a public place. You don't have the option. I guess, I don't know, you have the option. You don't have the option to just stay silent, like, because these are the teachings that I promoted when I was on the show. I promoted these teachings as being good, courtship as being the option, wearing these clothes as being the option. I wrote a New York Times bestselling book with my sisters that talked all about Bill Gothard's principles. And so I needed to correct what I had said. I needed to share where I am now. And so that was what I was really convicted about. And even going into that, sharing with my parents that I've grown and I've changed and this is where I am now. I'm going to share this and I hope that you will understand.
Does that worry you that book, I'm sure there's still copies out there. Like, does that ever worry you that people could come across this book and be like, well, Jinger Duggar said this, so.
I still get royalty checks every once in a while. It's like, pennies, but I mean, it still is like, it's funny. It's really funny. I don't worry about it too much because I think it's like a thing of the past. And I think that if anybody wanted to see that book, I'm like, yeah, it's a shame that I wrote it. But at the end of the day, I could only start from where I am now and move forward.
If you don't mind me asking, like, what does it look like now navigating a relationship with your parents? Like, do you talk to them every X amount of days, or like, do you see them at certain events? Like, how does that look now with you living out here in California, which is obviously a lot further away than I think everyone's back in Arkansas, right? So
yeah, it's being far away from family is like, there are always bittersweet things about that, right? Like I wish I could be there with my sisters when they're all hanging out or whatever. But it's also been healthy for us to just be away and be our own family and grow and learn together. And then I will we're on a family group message with my family. And so there's always something going on. So I can see what my family's up to. I try to call my mom regularly and talk to her and see what she's up to. And then different siblings, like I talk to all of my older sisters often. Like we'll just FaceTime and catch up. Big family dynamics even make that difficult. Like I feel bad that I can't talk to all my siblings all the time.
What is that group chat like with 19 kids?
It's wild.
Two parents. That must be, I mean, you must be getting a ding every 5 minutes on there.
I mean, you have to silence it. Yeah, seriously. But I just silence it and then I'll look at it, at the end of the day, I'll see whatever they've posted. But it's like whatever's going on. Like the other day, tornadoes were going through. And so we were just looking at all of the stuff. They're like posting pictures of clouds and texting videos of the damage once it came through. They were all fine. Thank the Lord. But it's stuff like that, right? Whatever's going on around them or news articles that pop up, they'll send out, whatever it is.
My family's in Missouri, and Abby has been cracking me up because she's pointed out my dad will always send messages about the weather. So you mentioned the tornadoes. I'm like, yeah, we knew about the tornadoes because my dad told us in the family group chat.
It's a family group chat thing. Every family group chat has to have a storm.
Are the spouses allowed in the Duggar family group chat? Because then that could really crowd it up.
It's huge. Yes.
So the spouses are in it too.
Yeah. Well, they have tons of them. So we have girls one, there's a workout one that I'm on. There's the big family one. So they
everything
have
you need right there.
Yeah. There are so many group chats. I can't keep up with all them, but yeah, it's just another way to kind of stay in touch with what's happening over there. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
I keep having this intrusive thought about you having a J name as well, being a Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a Jeremy.
No,
Duggar.
There's Jeremiah.
Okay.
So that's too close. But
yeah, close.
Yeah, they can both be Jer Bears.
Crazy.
I know,
you have a
wild.
J name that is not involved.
It's
you
insane.
lucked out because you're like, I like this girl, and it's like, oh, you have
You're
a J name?
Wow.
You're in.
Totally.
I know. Yeah.
Totally.
Come on.
That
Other brother-in-laws don't, but it would start to get weird if all the other brother-in-laws had J names.
That'd be a little weird.
I am curious, do you know why your parents was it just because they liked all J names?
Well, they started out and they had my oldest brother, they named him with J, and then the twins were next and they named them Jana and John. And then after that, they thought, well, if we just have one more kid, we don't want them to be left out. So it started out because they thought it was cute for the twins to have matching names. And then the oldest already had a J name. And then Jill was next. So they couldn't leave Jill with Sally, what would that be? That would be so
far.
bad.
They
thought if they just had one more kid. And then that just continued.
A question that's been in the back of my brain for 45 minutes now because I meant to ask it earlier because we were talking about Bob Gothard and I was like, wait a second.
I love Bob Gothard.
I mean, I'm sorry. I just call him Bob. His name's Bill.
Bob Gothard.
You literally met Bill, right? He came over to your house when you guys were kids.
Yeah, he knew who we were. So we were friends.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That because I think of this guy, obviously he started this massive movement. And so the fact that you had him over at your house, that was just like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. I have it in my journal. Oh yeah. I was looking at my journals recently too. And I realized like I wrote down in my like kid journal that he came and played foosball with me. And I think I lost. Did I lose to him? Like playing foosball? It was a big
you did
game.
lose. You said it in your book.
Did I write it in the book too? I did. That's right. I did. That's why I had it out too. I was reading it. But I played foosball. See, my memory now. We would just interact because we would go to his headquarters for like girls' retreats and stuff. And then we would talk to him. We'd see him at conferences. And I think because my family was like poster family for the IBLP for a while, then we had a closer relationship with him.
Is it still around? Are they still having conferences?
Yes, they still have conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Gothard's not, he's not like over it now, but they definitely still have conferences going on.
I assumed that it was over. Like I watched the documentary Shiny Happy People, and I assumed that this was something of the past.
No.
Right.
So wow.
I mean, it's heyday.
Well, I want to talk about it. Y'all remember back in the 1993 in Waco, Texas, when they had the cult and all those kids and people were unalived through that cult. So they have it to where it's there, and they have like a museum where people can go around in Waco, and they're already talking about trying to open it up again. It's like so freaking weird. And I just got reminded of this yesterday.
Yeah, but it's still going.
It's like, it's interesting because you'll see movements like that in evangelicalism where like the heyday of filling stadiums is gone. Now they're, fledgling and struggling financially, but the influence of those ideas permeates.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people today would be really influenced by those ideas and have no idea the formal introduction. So they wouldn't know his name, but they think the way he thinks because it's permeated churches or whatever.
Introducing Virtual Up from Nespresso. Your coffee, your way.
Some of these coasts are still.
You're not just moving.
You're trying to
You're moving
up.
in the right direction.
How am I going to play soccer in Connecticut?
When life changes lead to tax changes.
Oh, he on the
And you mentioned your diary. Something that really struck me in your book was the fact that someone like put it on eBay or something and was trying to sell it.
Wild story. So this was back whenever the show was like in its peak stage, and we would often just have random people come visit us. They would like email and they would say, can we come visit? And so often it was families. Sometimes it was just individuals that would like watch the show and they would email us, and we'd just have them over for tater tot casserole dinner. And it was great, so we had lots of random people that would just come into our home, take it, like always giving house tours. And then there was one time, it was like over the 4th of July, we had quite a few people who wanted to come visit us. And one of them was this girl, and she said she was like a college student and wanted to just come see our family. And so my parents were like, well, you can come on the 4th because we're going to have like a lot of people have a big party. So she shows up and somebody gave her a house tour, and she had a backpack with her most of the day. And when she went on the house tour, I guess she just stole my diary out of my nightstand. And so, she took it, and it wasn't until a couple months later that somebody emailed my dad, like one of our friends was like, hey, I think that Ginger's diary is on eBay. And he was kind of like laughing because they were like, yeah. And it's like up for $100,000. And so he called me upstairs, paged over the intercom, and I ran upstairs, realized like, oh my goodness, I'm so mortified. It's my diary. I was not mortified because of the details. The content was nothing was private that should be, kept secret. It was my handwriting. My handwriting was awful. They opened it up to the page where I had written with very sloppy handwriting, and then I like blacked out a second.
Vintage. What stream is it on? Is it on like Netflix or Hulu? Because I'll go look at it.
And then below it was like the worst looking handwriting ever. And so I was mortified. I was like, what? I don't know, like a 14-year-old when I saw this. And that was from when I was younger. And so I was like, how could they get that one? How could they get that diary? But we ended up figuring out who it was, and told her she had to send it back.
And she did.
Well, eventually, yeah. Or she would be prosecuted.
Oh, you're like, it took a little bit more.
She wouldn't send it back at first, yeah. And then she's like, okay, I'll send it back. In the paper cup I drank out of, do you want that too? Like, little attitude. And she stole another book out of, she stole a book out of our like book cabinets with doors on them. Just a random biography she took. So she sent that back too.
That is so weird.
It's bizarre. And then get this. She emails us later and she says, okay, I would actually like to come back to your house because I want to bring a busload of people back who are just like me. What would you say?
I would say heck to the no is what I would say.
Yeah. So she said she could stay on the couch. Though.
Like, are these people in prison? Like,
she could sleep on the couch.
Are these a bunch of thieves that you met while you were stealing books?
I know. People just like me. And we were like, no.
We don't want anyone like you.
So most of the people we met over that time were really cool and nice. It was kind of interesting having strangers in our house all the time. But yeah, that was just life before the gate at the front of my family's house. Like we didn't have a gate, so people would come down the driveway and knock on our front door. It was interesting.
Because it doesn't seem like you made much money from the show. Have you considered re-putting up the diary on eBay for $100K? I mean, think about it.
Well, with inflation, let's move it up now.
$200K. You could probably get $250.
I don't know if there was any bids though. Were there any bids on it?
No way.
No
That
active
would be
bids.
So insane.
It's funny.
But it was hilarious. Yeah.
Wow.
Get a laugh out of it now.
Wow.
Then it was creepy. It just
That
felt
is-
like such an invasion of privacy.
big
Like,
time.
what's
That is.
happening? Creepy not knowing who took it for a while. That kind of scared us.
Okay, so obviously I think it's
Like, who
clear.
can we not trust?
Yeah, totally.
I think it's clear that you guys probably won't have 19 kids, but where are you at now with that? Where are you on the topic of children? Because you have 2 right now,
You
right?
said 3.5 is a long time.
I know.
It was a long
3.5. And then we have a 5-year-old. She's going to be 6 soon. And yeah, we're talking about it. So we've thought like initially, I think we said 3 to 5 kids, but now we're like, okay, we think maybe 3, 2 or 3. So guys, yeah, we'll let y'all know. You'll
Felicity
find out soon enough.
has been drawing a lot recently, and
Oh my goodness.
she drew a little picture of our family, and it was mom, dad, her, Evie, and a little brother.
And then
Aw.
she was singing a song in the car. Yeah.
Well, guess what? Jinger is pregnant. She's pregnant. And we talked about that. And I think it's a boy.
That would be enough for me. I'd be
All
like,
about brother. She was like, and Evie and mommy and daddy and our little brother. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh no.
Well, you better
Does she know something we don't know?
Oh no.
you better get rid of that
You gotta
painting
take a
though, because it could
test.
end up happening.
Oh no.
Hey,
Go
I
home and
wouldn't-
burn it.
Oh,
Call the
that's right.
police now.
Let's do
You
this.
don't want all them kids. I think this could be her last one.
Whoa.
What's that?
I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
Guys,
Like on the fridge.
That's true.
Burn it.
That's
On
true.
the fridge. Oh my
that's
god.
so true, man.
I wouldn't mind a
I
little.
don't know. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Boys are really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Is there
That's
true.
one?
We hear.
Is there one person that's like, let's keep having kids, and then there's someone else who's like, let's not keep having kids.
I
No,
think
I think
that
we're on
we're
the same
both
page.
just about like, yeah, we'll just see.
Yeah, I think if it's a boy, that's it for them. They're just gonna have 3 kids. I do not see Ginger getting pregnant anymore. Jill recently did one where she was talking about she was pregnant and she did lose one of her children. And they doing, while she was pregnant, but I'm not sure how many kids she got. But they are leaving at Arkansas. Let me see. They're moving. So Jill has one. Yeah, she has 3 kids. The last one she got pregnant with was in 2024. Jill has 3. She had a stillborn at 4 months. But they are moving to Nebraska. So Jill and her husband I think after that one, they're finished too. So the only person we probably see is Jessa having them.
Like, we don't know.
Gotcha.
We're just enjoying this stage, though. The kids are so much fun. This is such a sweet stage with them.
That's
I
sweet.
love that.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So fun.
Well, we're so happy for you guys. You seem like you've got things figured out. You
So
both are
wise.
You're so good at speaking. Sorry to interrupt you. You're so good at speaking.
Oh, I interrupted
both
you.
of you.
Okay.
You can keep talking. Sorry.
Just saying, I'm inspired by you guys. Like, you seem like very wise, and like you've handled everything with so much grace and class, and I think it's admirable.
That's so
It's
sweet.
kind of you to
Well,
say.
thank you guys so much for having
Because
us.
it didn't have to be that way, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like you said, drama sells and it gets clicks and everything, and I think that you've really kept big picture and like what you ultimately want.
I'm super
Yeah.
grateful for you guys, and thanks for having us on.
Of
and talking.
course,
You
yeah.
guys are
I
so
mean,
cool down there.
I hope we accomplished this goal, but I'm pretty sure you said that you didn't do the Shiny Happy People documentary because you didn't want to be like misconstrued or something.
Right.
So
Yeah.
my goal is that like your voice is heard the way that you want it to be heard through this episode. So I hope we accomplished that
Yes,
today.
you did. Thank you
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
for letting us share.
Awesome.
Of course,
So
of
sweet.
course. Yeah. Well, thank you guys.
Let's get lunch.
Go get
It's
their
fine.
book.
Let's
Check
go.
out their book. You can listen to it on 2x speed if you want to be crazy.
All right, you guys, that's all I have. Let me see if I can find something for the last 5 minutes. Because I will be going live in a few. So but she does have a podcast. She's been, saying about things. She even talked about the house rules and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that's all we have for now, but we will be talking about jail tomorrow. And we're going to try to go down a timeline of some of the people. We will be talking about Michelle. So yeah, you guys, I want to thank you guys for watching. I will be live on my backup channel with the mommy content, as I said, until we're almost to 800, y'all. We're about to hit 1,000 subscribers. So we're almost to 800. I'll be with mommy content. Like I said, I will the way I react to Rose is listening and talking about what she did, other than showing it, because I don't got time for her and her emotional self. But everybody else we're gonna look at. We got Marissa, we got all of that. So I'll see you guys at 3:30. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.